In AP Calculus, we will never be using degrees when we're going to know the cosine and sine tangent of an angle. What we need to learn then is the radians. So remember that radians are really just a scaling of the unit circle. So remember, the circumference of a circle is c equals 2 pi r. So on the unit circle, since r is equal to 1, that ends up being 2 times pi times 1. So that's 2 pi. So the unit circle all the way around is 2 pi units. So we'll start there at 0 and go all the way around to 2 pi. And that makes perfect sense. Halfway around then would be pi. Split the difference between 0 and pi. That would be pi over 2. And so we can add another pi over 2 from this. We'd get 3 pi over 2. Okay, so those are all the spots along the axes. Next, let's cut this in half. So between 0 and pi over 2 would be pi over 4. So I actually like to just count by fourths all the way around. So that's 1 pi over 4, 2 pi over 4 reduces to be pi over 2, 3 pi over 4, 4 pi over 4 is reduced, 5 pi over 4, 6 pi over 4 reduces, and 7 pi over 4. All right, next, we'll actually count these by sixths. So 1/3 of the way to pi over 2 would be pi over 6. And we're just going to add pi over 6 all the way around. So 1 pi over 6, 2 pi over 6 reduces to be pi over 3. 3 pi over 6 is pi over 2. 4 pi over 6 reduces to be 2 pi over 3. 5 pi over 6. 6 pi over 6 is already reduced. 7 pi over 6. 8 pi over 6 reduces to be 4 pi over 3. 9 pi over 6 is reduced. 10 pi over 6 is 5 pi over 3. And then finally 11 pi over 6. Okay, now remember these are the exact same spots as we had for the degrees. But, so we just need to be able to label the sine and the cosine the same way as we did before. So let's go ahead and change colors. Let's go with that nice pink again. And so again, labeling the axes, that's 1, 0. This is 0, 1 up here. Negative 1, 0. And 0, negative 1. Then I'll do the first quadrant. So that is a big X rather, and a little y. So square root of 3 over 2 comma 1/2. This spot, the x and the y are the same, so they're square root of 2 over 2, square root of 2 over 2. And finally there, this is little x, big y. And then we just have to reflect them across the x and y axes. So across the y-axis, this is again little x, big Y. They're the same. All right, and I realize that I have left out the negatives on these. I'll come back and do those as I had done on the degree unit circle. This is big X, little y. That's already done. Big X, little y, same. Little x, big Y. Little x, big Y. X and the y are both the same, square root of 2 over 2. Remember that square root of 2 over 2 is also 1 over square root of 2. So if you see it written that way, it's actually the same thing. And then square root of 3 over 2, 1/2. The last thing to do is to go back and put the negatives for the right spot on the coordinate axis. So negative x's over there in quadrant 1. Negative x's and y's in quadrant, I'm sorry, that was quadrant 2. Remember quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. Negative x's and y's in quadrant 3, just negative y's in quadrant 4. Again, don't memorize that. You know this is the y-axis, the x-axis, and this is the y-axis. So over here it'd be over in the x, up in the y, and etc. So you should be able to do this unit circle in probably less than 3 minutes after a little bit of practice. The main thing you need to be able to do, instead of just memorizing it, is you need to be able to reproduce whatever part you need to be able to find the sine, cosine, tangent, secant, cosecant of any of the different angles. That's it for now. Thanks for listening to my video.